Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Native Echo Podcast, where we make English simple and enjoyable. I am Harper. Hello to all of our wonderful listeners, wherever you are in the world right now. Okay, so before we get into today's topic, I just want to say something. If you are having a bad day right now, this episode is for you. And if you are having a perfectly fine day, well, stay with me because bad days come for everyone eventually. And when they do, it is really useful to have the words for it in English. So today we are talking about bad days, not in a heavy, dramatic way, just in a very real, very honest way. The kind of conversation you would have with a good friend over a cup of tea. And by the end of this episode, you will have new vocabulary, some useful expressions, and maybe, just maybe, you will feel a tiny bit better about the fact that bad days exist. Let us start with a story, because everything starts with a story. A few weeks ago, I had one of those days. You know the kind. It started in the morning. I woke up late. Not a little late, very late. I looked at my phone and immediately felt that horrible sinking feeling in my stomach. Sinking feeling. That is when your heart drops and you feel a wave of panic or disappointment, like the ground is moved under your feet. So I woke up late, and from that point on, everything just seemed to go wrong. I burned my toast, I could not find my keys, I got outside and it was raining, and of course, I had no umbrella. I got to a meeting and realized I had prepared the wrong notes. Wrong notes, wrong meeting, wrong everything. And by lunchtime, I was sitting at my desk thinking, okay, this is just not my day. This is an off day. Off day. That is our first expression. An off day is a day when nothing seems to work for you. Everything feels harder than usual. You make small mistakes. You feel a little slower, a little more clumsy, a little less like yourself. We all have off days. It does not mean something is seriously wrong. It just means today is not your best day. And that is okay. You can say, I am having an off day, or sorry, I am a bit off today. Very natural, very normal to say to a friend or a colleague. Now, the thing about bad days is that they come in different shapes. Not every bad day looks the same. Some days are bad because of one big thing. Something happens, a piece of bad news, an argument with someone you care about, a mistake at work that you cannot stop thinking about. One big thing that just sits on your chest all day and makes everything feel heavy. And then there are other kinds of bad days. The ones that are not because of one big thing. They are just made of many small, annoying things stacked on top of each other. Like my morning with the toast and the keys and the rain. No single thing is a disaster, but together they just wear you down. Wear you down. That is a great expression. When something wears you down, it slowly takes away your energy and your patience, like a stone being slowly worn smooth by water. Each small thing alone is nothing, but together, over a whole day, they can leave you feeling completely worn out. And by the end of a day like that, you feel drained. Drained. This is one of my favorite words for this feeling because it is so accurate. Drained means your energy is completely gone, like a phone battery that has gone from 100% to zero. You did not do anything dramatic. You did not run a marathon. You just lived through a difficult day. But by the evening, you feel completely empty, completely drained. Have you ever said to someone, I am exhausted, but they ask why, and you cannot really explain? Because nothing dramatic happened. You just feel like all of your energy was quietly used up. That is being drained, and it is a completely real feeling. Now I want to talk about something that I think makes bad days so much harder, and that is the spiral. When we talk about a spiral in this context, we mean when your thoughts keep going in circles, getting worse and worse. One bad thought leads to another, and then another. And before you know it, you are not just thinking about the bad day anymore. You are thinking about every bad thing that has ever happened and every bad thing that might happen in the future. So it starts like this: you make a mistake at work, and then your brain says, "Oh, this is because I am not good at this." And then it says, "Maybe I am not good at my job at all." And then it says, "Maybe I am just not good at anything." And then suddenly you are not thinking about one mistake, you are thinking about your whole life and everything feels wrong. That is the spiral. And once you are in it, it is hard to get out. I know this feeling very well. On my bad day with the rain and the wrong notes, I remember sitting in the afternoon thinking, maybe I am just disorganized. Maybe I am always going to be like this. Maybe I just cannot handle things properly. And none of that was really about the rain or the notes, but my brain had gone into spiral mode and it just kept going. And here's the thing: when you are spiraling, everything feels true. Every thought feels very real and very solid. But most of those thoughts are just the bad day talking, not the real you, not the real situation, just the spiral. Okay, now let us talk about something that happens on bad days that we do not always talk about honestly, and that is how we treat the people around us when we are struggling. When you are having a bad day and you feel drained and overwhelmed, it is very easy to snap at someone. Overwhelmed first. Overwhelmed means there is too much happening at once and you cannot handle it all. It is like someone has put too many things in your hands and they are all starting to fall. Too much information, too many tasks, too many feelings at the same time. You feel overwhelmed. You feel like you cannot manage it all. And when you are overwhelmed, sometimes you snap. To snap at someone means to speak sharply or rudely to them, usually because you are stressed or tired. It is not always planned, it just comes out. Someone asks you a completely normal question, and you answer in a way that is sharper than you intended. And then immediately you feel bad about it. I think most honest people will admit that they snap at the people they are closest to. Because when we feel safe with someone, we let our guard down, and sometimes letting our guard down means our stress comes out in a way that is not very kind. I have snapped at people on bad days. I have said things in a tone that I did not mean. And the guilt of that makes the bad day even worse. Because now you are not just having a bad day, you are also feeling sorry for how you spoke to someone you care about. So, what do? You apologize. And you explain, not to make an excuse, but just to be honest. Something like, "I am sorry I was sharp with you. I am having a really off day, and I took it out on you. That was not fair." To take something out on someone, this is a very common expression. It means you are feeling bad because of one thing, but you direct that bad feeling at a different person. The rain made you frustrated, but you snapped at your friend. You took the frustration out on your friend. It is not a good habit, but it is a very human one. Okay, so we have the off day, the spiral, the feeling of being drained and overwhelmed. And now I want to talk about what we actually do with a bad day, because I think there are really two approaches, and both of them are valid, depending on the day and depending on the person. The first approach is to vent. To vent means to talk about your feelings, especially frustration or stress, in order to release them, like opening a pressure valve. You do not necessarily want advice. You do not want someone to fix anything. You just want to say it out loud. You want to describe the day and have someone listen. And venting actually works. There is something about saying the words out loud that helps. When the bad day is just inside your head, it feels enormous. But when you put it into words and give it to another person, it becomes smaller somehow, more manageable. Do you have someone in your life you can vent to? Someone who just listens without immediately trying to solve everything. That is a very special person. If you have one, hold on to them. And listeners, I want to stop here for a second. This is actually a great English practice tip. Practice describing your feelings in English, not just saying, "I had a bad day," but actually describing what happened and how it made you feel. Use the words, "We are learning today." "I felt drained." "I was completely overwhelmed." "I started to spiral a little." It is much more specific, and specific language feels more satisfying to say and to hear. The second approach to a bad day is to just ride it out. Ride it out means to wait for the difficult time to pass without trying to fight it too hard, like riding a wave in the ocean. You do not try to stop the wave, you just stay on it and ride until it is over. Some days you do not want to vent. You do not want to talk. You just want to quietly get through the day, go home, put on something comfortable, and let the bad day end. And that is completely valid too. I have ride it out days, and I have vent days. Usually, I know quite quickly which one I need. On a ride it out day, I just want to be quiet. I want to be gentle with myself. I want to do small, easy things, make a nice drink, watch something familiar, not try to be productive or impressive. Just exist softly until the day is over. On edge is another expression I want to teach you. When you feel on edge, you feel tense and irritable, like you are waiting for the next bad thing to happen. Your body and your mind are alert, but not in a good way, in a nervous, uncomfortable way. You snap more easily when you are on edge. Small things bother you more than they normally would. On a really difficult day, I feel on edge most of the time. Someone drops something near me and I jump. Someone asks me a question in a certain tone and I immediately feel defensive. That is what being on edge feels like. Your nervous system is simply working too hard. And I think it is important to recognize when you are on edge because it helps you understand why you are reacting the way you are. You are not just being dramatic. Your body is genuinely stressed, and that affects everything. Now, here is a question I really want you to think about, and I would love for you to answer it in the comments. When you have a bad day, what is the one thing that helps you the most? It can be anything: a specific food, a walk outside, a phone call with someone, a certain song, a TV show you have already seen 100 times, silence, anything at all. I ask because I genuinely believe that knowing your own personal recovery strategy is one of the most useful things you can have. Because when the bad day comes, and it will come, you do not have to figure out what to do. You already know. You already have a plan. Mine changes depending on the type of bad day, but there are two things that almost always help me. One is walking, just going outside and moving my body. Not for exercise, not to get anywhere, just to move. Something about walking helps my brain slow down. The spiral gets quieter. My body remembers that it is actually okay. And the second thing is very simple. I make something warm to drink, tea usually, and I sit with it. I do not look at my phone. I do not try to do anything productive. I just sit with my warm drink and I let the day be what it was. Not good. That is okay. Not every day has to be good. And this brings me to something I want to say quite directly, because I think it is something many of us need to hear. You are allowed to have a bad day. You do not have to fix it immediately. You do not have to be positive. You do not have to pretend it is fine when it is not fine. A bad day is just a day. It will end. And tomorrow is genuinely a new start, not in a cliche way, in a very practical, real way. You will sleep, your body will reset. The specific things that made today difficult will look different in the morning. Bounce back. I want to teach you this expression now. To bounce back means to recover after something difficult, like a ball that hits the ground and comes back up. You do not stay on the floor, you bounce back. It might take one day, it might take a few days, but you bounce back. And I think one of the most important things to remember on a bad day is that you have bounced back before. Every single bad day you have ever had, you got through it. 100% success rate. That is actually quite remarkable when you think about it. You have survived every difficult day so far. That means you are more resilient than you give yourself credit for. Resilient means you are able to recover from difficult situations. You are strong in a quiet, steady way, not hard and inflexible, but flexible, like a tree in the wind. You bend, but you do not break. And I think English learners specifically are resilient because learning a language is hard. There are bad days in language learning too. Days when nothing seems to go in. Days when you try to speak and the words are not there. Days when you feel like you are not improving at all, and yet you come back. You keep listening. You keep trying. That is resilience. Okay, now let us talk about one more thing before the recap, and that is the idea of being kind to yourself on a bad day. It sounds simple. It is actually quite hard. Because when we are having a bad day, our instinct is often to be quite harsh with ourselves. We think things like, why did I do that? Why am I like this? Why can I not just handle things better? We would never say those things to a friend who is struggling, but we say them to ourselves without even noticing. On a bad day, try to speak to yourself a little more gently. Not, why am I so disorganized? But today was hard and I did my best. Not, I should have handled that better. But I am human and I make mistakes. It sounds small, but it genuinely changes how a bad day feels. It does not make the bad day disappear, but it makes it a little lighter. And one last thing, sometimes the kindest thing you can do on a bad day is simply call it early. Decide that the day is over, even if it is only 7 in the evening. Put on something comfortable. Stop asking anything of yourself. And let tomorrow start fresh. There is no rule that says you have to keep trying to fix a bad day. Sometimes the right move is to just let it be a bad day and get to the other side of it. Okay, before the recap, one quick question for you. Drop your answer in the comments. I read everything and I love hearing from you. Describe your last off day in 1 or 2 English sentences. What happened? How did you feel? Use the words from today if you can. It is great practice and it helps me understand what kinds of days you are all having out there. All right, let us do our word tour. Here are the key words and expressions from this episode. Off day, a day when nothing works for you and everything feels harder than usual. Example, I am having a really off day today. Drained, when your energy is completely gone. Example, I felt completely drained by the time I got home. Overwhelmed, when there is too much happening at once and you cannot handle it all. Example, she was overwhelmed with work and did not know where to start. Spiral, when your thoughts go in circles, getting worse and worse. Example, I started to spiral and turned one small problem into a whole life crisis. On edge, feeling tense and irritable, like you are waiting for the next bad thing. Example, he was on edge all morning after hearing the news. Snap at someone, to speak sharply or rudely because you are stressed. Example, I did not mean to snap at you, I just had a very hard day. Take it out on someone, to direct your frustration at a person who did not cause it. Example, I was upset about work and I took it out on my sister. That was not fair. Vent, to talk about your feelings in order to release them. Example, sometimes I just need to vent. I do not need advice. I just need someone to listen. Ride it out, to wait for the difficult time to pass. Example, some days you just have to ride it out and trust that tomorrow will be better. Bounce back, to recover after something difficult. Example, she had a really tough week, but she always bounces back. And the phrase to carry with you today: not every day has to be good. Some days just have to be survived, and that is enough. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I hope this episode gave you some useful words and maybe a little comfort too. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to Native Echo Podcast and give this episode a like. It really helps us reach more learners like you. Share this with a friend who is maybe having a difficult week. Sometimes knowing someone else understands is the nicest thing you can give a person. Come and find us on WhatsApp too. The link is in the description. We would love to hear from you there. keep listening, keep practicing, and remember, bad days do not last, but the English you learned today will stay with you. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.